Do you know what they were arguing about?
Ethan wouldn't let Zachary be a part of his gang.
Did you know that Ethan had a gang?
No, but I'm thrilled to hear it.
Yeah.
Your son is a maniac.
Zachary is not a maniac.
Yes, he is.
Alan, why are you saying that?
He's a maniac.
Now, although on the outside, I suppose the title Carnage for what is essentially a one-act play about two couples squabbling seems to not make a lot of sense, really.
Well,
why would you call it Carnage?
Because you figured they're going to start tearing into each other. I was expecting chainsaws and butcher knives at some point.
Which is what you want out of a title called Carnage. I mean, you want to see like all-out gore, fucking, the Halloween slash-a-thon.
I don't think they could have gotten much more vicious if they had had machetes and chainsaws, personally.
I guess, yeah, for a white man's version of of what you can do with the word Carnage, I guess this is about as nice and polite as they could possibly.
Isn't most horror a white man's version of it?
I guess that's a good point.
You got a point there. Well, it is funny because to me, like just the premise itself, I was like, oh shit, something's gonna go down. I mean, you got one kid attacks the other kid, and the parents want to try to be civil about it. I'm like, these things don't. The more you try to be civil, the worse it's going to get. I just saw disaster written all over it.
Well, yeah, because nothing is like, all right, so like, while we all try to be civil on the outside, one of those things that there's just no fucking with is your kids, right? Mm-hmm. It don't matter if your kid is wrong. It doesn't matter what. You just, and the civilization, the barest veneer still clings to people trying to deal civilly with each other about issues with their kids, and this is where we start with Carnage. And this is first off, this is directed by Roman Polanski, right, and it's based on a French play called God of Carnage, right? I don't know why, but I wouldn't pick.
Well, no, there's a point where one of the characters mentions the God of Carnage.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. And it's about these two couples played by Jodie Foster and John C. Reilly as one couple, which are sort of like a upper middle class couple, like liberal couple, and Kate Winslet and Christoph Waltz as another couple who are definitely upper class.
They're the Nazi version of the couple. Of the family.
Well, they're straight up business people. They're very professional, especially Christoph Waltz, who can't do anything without being on his cell phone constantly. It's like it's attached to his hand permanently. He might as well have just crazy glued it on there. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure when he masturbates, it's with that cell phone.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you? Come on. How do you masturbate? I got the special Fleshlight edition Android.
Oh, you got the cell phone with the gel covering?
Well, of course, right?
Yeah. That would be really fucked up considering who he's actually talking to usually in this movie. On the other end of that line, I'm like, why would he be masturbating to an old man? I don't know.
Some people get really into business. Yeah,
true.
Say,
True. The Jodie Foster John C. Reilly couple, at least they're like downtown Manhattan. We're middle class, very liberal white people. We have white man's guilt. We try to help the Africans, save them, and we want to do the right thing. We want to address everyone's feelings and make it sensitive and not step on anyone's toes.
Which is why they've invited this other couple over, played by Kate Winslet and Christoph Waltz, to like civilly discuss a situation that happened at school where their, I guess, middle school age kid hit the child of the liberal parents in the mouth with a stick and knocked out some of his teeth. Yeah. And they're like, look, nobody wants to call lawyers or anything. Well, let's just figure out civilly how we're going to deal with each other's kids, what's going to happen from this. And sure, what could possibly go wrong?
Everything. Everything could go wrong because this is a volatile. It's one of those things where, like, if both couples come in saying, like, hey, let's agree that this was bad. Sure, it could work out, but you have so many other variables that can make it not go that way.
But let me emphasize once again that when I mentioned like this is like white people. This is because all I think about is like these are two rich couples. I mean, they're rich. Yeah. I mean, they're like hanging out in high rises, talking about their kids like getting into fights. Where I've seen kids get into fights and their parents usually they don't act anywhere near to the level of battle of words like these couples do in this movie, which it's like this is a side of life that I never knew about because I'm like, well, yeah, usually don't they just call each other's lawyers and have the lawyers battle it out and that's it.
It was an interesting point you bring up because more often than not, either the school steps in to try to mediate or lawyers are called and it's done that way. And this is what happens. Like you go like, man, I wish it wasn't necessary to always call lawyers. And this movie says like, well, when you don't call lawyers, this is what happens.
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been almost any situation here. I mean, you could take the kids out of it really and say it was some other thing, like a car accident or something. Well, let's work out. It was a fender bender. And really what it's about is just sort of that thin veneer of civilization that we have, like how really small that is, how in our own worlds we are, and how we really don't respect our differences at all. I mean, as much as like what we think we believe in, we identify as who we are. That's the definition of us. And in the moment anybody steps on that, you're like, oh, it's on now. It's going to be like Zulu and British right all over this motherfucker. I don't care if it's a 100th floor of a skyrise in Manhattan. There's going to be bloodshed tonight.
It's a funny thing that you bring up, because it starts at like, trying to say like, look, we're all people here. We have more in common than we have different, right? Sure. But I have this different. Say what?
Yeah.
No. I mean, yeah. It quickly gets the focus on the things that are they're very opposed on, and that just makes it. That's exacerbates the situation. It goes to the point to where like these people who try to be nice, it's fun to watch it crack slowly.
Oh yeah.
You see it cracking slowly, and how at times it's almost over.
It's a burning building, and
couples almost gone, almost parted ways. They can just talk shit about each other, but something keeps bringing them back.
Oh yeah, it's the escalation of it, which is the most fascinating and fun part to watch as far as how this movie goes. Because I mean it's one of those things where you're like, for me it was me trying to buy into this premise with people actually discussing, about a situation where the kids, where you can tell there's a few people in this room that don't give a shit. And that's the guys. It's like the guys in this movie seem to have more of common sense as far as like, hey, they're fucking kids. They get into a fight. Who gives a shit? Why are we even here talking about this? And it's funny to see the women in this movie be so civilized about it to where they're thinking that, one of these kids could end up being a murderer at some point. And you're like, are you kidding me? It's a fucking kid. Will you get over yourself?
And the film makes a point in its bookends of letting you know just that. It's like, they're just kids. Shit happens on the playground, And what you're seeing there is the purest reflection of who we are on humans on some level. There's that animalism that's always there that these adults up in the penthouse are trying to hide with civilized conversation. The truth is, a kid knocks the other kid's teeth out, the next day again they're friends, and hey, no harm, no foul, right?
Right.
That's not that. These adults are never going to get along again. And, it goes insane. And what's best is, at first it's like couple versus couple and little snide, just to hear, oh, it's almost over. Well, maybe if your kid hadn't, I'm sorry, my kid, what? That type of thing. But by the end of it, everybody's ready to kill each other.
Well, yeah, it's couple versus couple, and then later it's the line is drawn down gender.
Yeah.
It's men versus women.
Yeah.
Until the end, it's like, you know what? We all hate each other. Like, I'm not even crazy about my wife right now.
Every animal for himself.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, the fun thing about the movie is watching that all slowly unravel, because there's a point where when I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is sort of interesting, seeing these couples deal with their problems in this way, and especially when it becomes more on the humorous side, especially when they start busting out the booze, and they're just like, all right, let's keep drawing this out, and let's see what really happens. And at that point, I was like, okay, this has been an interesting look into this world, but this needs to come to a conclusion quick, because I was getting a little like, okay, is this going to keep going on? And I was like kind of looking at my watch, and I think that also has to do because even though the performances are pretty great here, I mean, they have some competent actors, in these roles, but as soon as they start drinking, I started to think, man, why is this reminding me of like theater acting? Yeah. Where they're really like, they're emphasizing the fact that they are now drunk. And I was getting a sense like, it's almost skewing on the line where I can't buy this anymore.
I know what you're saying, because I was really digging it. I was loving it. I did notice like, okay, they're almost like making excuses to keep them going. But I was like, that's fine. I'm enjoying it. But if there was anything I didn't like, it was that when they start drinking, they got drunk too fast.
Yeah.
And that's one of my pet peeves in movies.
I didn't have that problem, and I'll tell you why. Because we're used to hanging around people who just don't get that drunk that fast because we live in Austin, where everyone has a tolerance. Even people who don't drink have a high tolerance level because it's in the fucking air here.
It's in our water. The Edwards Aquifer
Right,
it gives you a tolerance.
But normal, civilized people